Hey guys, in today's episode, I want to talk about the iOS 14.5 opt-in rate and sort of how it's probably affecting your ads and sort of what you're seeing. So, I want to go over this article that I read recently by Flurry, which they publish a ton of iOS data. They have a lot of data that they use to sort of gather insights. So, let's talk about it and sort of look at some of the data together, and I can sort of give you my thoughts on this. So, if anybody's interested, it's Flurry. They're a really big mobile app company. So they have weekly updates since the launch. So let's go in here and see kind of what they're seeing. And they're measuring kind of like everybody knows the prompt that you get, which is, hey, do you want to be tracked? So let's look at the important data here. And here in this graph, you can see that worldwide weekly opt-in rate after iOS 14.5 launches across all apps. And this represents the percentage of app users who allow app tracking among users who have chosen to either allow or deny tracking. So here's the people that allow app tracking worldwide. So worldwide, it's about 17%. So about 17% of people have said, "Hey, yep, I want you to track me," and which is really low. So we could see that if everybody's listening doing Facebook ads or Google ads, you could see why results have been pretty bad this recently. Is because companies like Facebook and Google have just lost so much data from Apple. Now, let's look at kind of something super important, which is probably more important for a lot of people watching or listening, is the US weekly opt-in rate after iOS 14. The reason why I say that is because US is a big market. We have a lot of US brands that advertise in the US, and you can see that they're also doing really poorly. So here it is, what it is now. It's at launch day, which is April 26th, which is sort of when a lot of brands started seeing results go down, is 2% said, "Hey, track me." Basically means that, and again, this is kind of a thing you need to think about too. This is people that have seen the prompt, meaning that they have opted in or sort of that they upgraded their phone. So again, something to think about too is when you have an iPhone, you most likely always update. At least I do, and I know most friends can't wait for the latest Apple update. So Apple has a really great upgrade rate from whatever iOS version they have. So that's why this was so important. So now that we're on essentially July 5th, July 6th, it's at 10%. So only 10% of people have said, "Yep, I want to opt in for you to track me." And this is why we're seeing results be really poorly, which is like Facebook is changing, Google's changing, and anything you're doing online is changing, is because users just don't want to opt in. And this is the data. And again, I tell brands all the time, there's nothing that we can do because this is literally Apple saying, "I don't want to be tracked about it." And something to be thinking about too is you've probably been watching TV. You've probably been looking at some stuff on TV. You just recently saw the new Apple commercial that talks about privacy, basically saying, "Hey, our core feature at Apple is to be against getting tracked." And for me, that makes sense. I mean, if you look at Apple, what are they trying to do? Apple's trying to compete against Facebook and Google. Facebook and Google is an advertising monopolies where Apple isn't. And they want to say, "Hey, look, this is what's going to make us different." Any tech company is like this. And that's something I think people don't realize. Like these companies, Apple, Facebook, Google, they're all competing against each other because they all want money and all want revenue. So they're not there to help each other out. And again, that affects us. And that could be good or bad. For the longest time, we've been tracked by Google, been tracked by Facebook, and now Apple's taking a stand. So it's something to think about. It's just something that we're going to see change over time. And, companies like Facebook are going to have to change. Companies like Google have to change. Apple is really the only one to say, "Hey, look, we don't want to participate in this tracking." And one thing to think about that too is because recently you guys probably saw Facebook got in trouble for, the elections with the tracking the data. And then sort of antitrust lawsuit is sort of spurring up against Facebook with all this data that they have, all this privacy. So now when these big tech companies see this, they sort of say, "Hey, look, like, yeah, this Facebook is doing something wrong. And look at us. We're not tracking data. We're actually making it easier for our customers to be private so you don't see anything." And then that's kind of like a jab at Facebook. And again, it's a helpful for Congress to say, "Hey, look, it's not that you can't do it because look, another company is doing it, so you can actually change." And is there a reason why you're not changing? Maybe because you're a monopoly, stuff like that. So those are things you should be thinking about. Like all these big tech companies are sort of trying to like one up one, and the change they're making is so that the other one can get in trouble and to do that. So that's sort of how it affects us. Again, it affects the advertising industry a lot. But again, like anything, I'm very hopeful. I think there's going to be solutions out there. And again, I have thoughts on how this would help, and I'll make another video on that and sort of like what I think about this iOS update. Thanks, guys. And again, please like, subscribe. Any questions or comments, leave a comment below, or anything else, just feel free to visit voidmedia.com if you're looking for advertising. And again, we just released a new Facebook ads course. You can check it out. Anything else, just feel free to email me, Kevin at Void Media. Thanks.